Oh, it's been a while. It's been a while since we've done a SCP reading, eh? SCP reading time. So, anybody in the chat yet? Is anybody there? Has anybody joined? Anybody at home? Henry? Are you ready, Henry? We're gonna deep dive into the SCP Foundation once again. But I don't know if anybody's here. It's quite quiet. It's quite quiet around here. Well, in the meantime, let me just... Bam! You can barely see it. You can barely see Henry. Now you can see Henry. Look at him. Look at Henry. Okay, I'm gonna get the better lights on. You're out of touch. I'm out of time. Okay. Just a little bit brighter. A little bit brighter, huh, Henry? I'm gonna wait. It's just like a minute or two, just to see if other people will join. If not, oh. Okay. I got a message from a friend to explain some stuff.
No, doesn't look so good. It does not look so good. It doesn't look like many people can come today.
Oh, there's an itch. There's an itch right here. An itch I have to scratch. Lexi's not here either. Ah! This doesn't bode so well. This doesn't bode so well. Okay, let's just close everything else that we don't need. We need absolute focus, Henry. We need the most incredible focus. Yes. Okay. Somebody has joined. Who is it? Welcome to Fluffy's exhibition. Welcome to tonight's SCP stream. We're reading 840s. Yeah. But whoever it is, state your name. No, just you don't need to state your name. But it would be cool if you give me a what's up in the chat real quick if you want to. It's up to you. My glasses are dirty, so I'm just gonna quickly wipe them. Yes. Come on. All right. Whoever it is, it don't matter as long as they enjoy themselves. I'm out of, you out of touch. I'm out of time. Dun, 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 dun. Okay. The final stretch, Henry. We're gonna be diving into the mysterious. Okay, I don't like the first name. I gotta say, I read it real quickly, and the first thing I read is SCP-840 Drain Feeder. Now, a couple times ago, I did say I'm gonna try to come up with a conclusion what this could potentially be from the name itself, or at least what the name would make me think it would be. So drain feeder, it sounds very much like, yeah, it's in your drains, and whatever goes down there, it just eats. It mangiare is real good. So if you ever, I don't know, lose your contact lens, or the hair goes down there, or in America where like the drains are like massive and your key just flops down there, That's gone. Absolutely gone. Forget it. You won't get it back no more. But that is just a speculation. That is just a speculation. I'm just gonna check if okay, she saw my message. She's potentially here. Who knows? Okay, here we go. The rating is it's low, but that doesn't change how we see it. All right. Up to class Euclid. Due to SCP-840's presence in ecosystems across the globe, well, here's a special containment procedure. I should probably say this for anybody who's like new to this. Special containment procedure. Due to SCP-840's presence in ecosystems across the globe, SCP-840 cannot be fully contained. Well, that's just that. SCP Foundation, that's your job. I mean, to be fair, I say that jokingly because, you know, they're supposed to contain, secure, contain, protect, right? But some SCPs you just can't contain because it's a bit big. So that might be one of those cases. Outbreaks and potential outbreaks of SCP-840 are to be reported to either Dr. Blank or biological research overseers for immediate containment. 3 samples of SCP-840 are kept in Bio Research Area 12 for study. Samples are to be habituated within segments of PCB piping, 30 mm (1.2 inches) in diameter and 300 mm to 11.81 inches in length. Wait, hold on. Yes, that's correct. Yeah, it is correct. And provided with a constant flow of water containing biological material to digest 3 times a week. Samples must not be allowed to grow beyond the length of the pipe, and screening of biocide drainage systems for containment breaches is to be conducted every 6 months. Is the pipe in the ocean? Is that why they can't contain it? Because it's like across the entire globe? That would be an issue. That would be a problem. But also it does say it should not grow beyond the length of the pipe. So either it's on the pipe itself, or in the pipe. And if it grows too big, it might... Here's the thing. If it's on the pipe, it might grow to the length that it doesn't need a pipe no more, and it might just grow out of wherever it is. And if it's in the pipe and it's getting too long, it might just shoot out of the sink. So... I apologize about that. That was a water bottle that I accidentally pushed. I'm a bit energetic today, which I'm glad, because it's been a while since I've been energetic to read this SCP stuff. Because usually I'm mostly exhausted, and then I'm like, oh, but I want to read, and I want to be funny. But yeah. Okay. SCP-840 is a type of amoeba. That's how you say it, right? Amoeba? That thrives in a dark, damp environment, which, given the correct which, given the correct circumstances, will form a unique symbiotic relationship, fusing together by secreting an extremely viscous mucus. These fused colonies are capable of replicating many of the functions of animal tissues, particularly that of vital organs. Of course, it's vital organs. What else would it be? Although SCP-840 has a prolific growth and reproduction rate, colonies are capable of existing unnoticed for years. Pipes and drainage systems are the preferred habitat of SCP-840. To date, there has only been one observed instance of SCP-840 colonizing a natural environment. See Incident Report I-840A-1, using the exterior of the pipe as an exoskeleton. So it is the exterior. It's not inside, it's outside. Ow. SCP-840 will, over time, convert these systems into an extended digestive system, capable of extracting nutrients and moisture from passing biological matter. Material is transported by means of a constant or frequent flow of water aided by peristalsis, and is broken down through the excretion of a highly acidic mucus. So anything that... But it's in the drains, right? So... Are we talking... So it's not only sink drains, but it also probably is anything that is connected to water drains, right? So like the toilet, the shower. Henry, Now that is what we call nasty. In a large drainage spaces such as places where piping has burst, either incidentally or as a result of a build-up of SCP-840, colonies are capable of organizing into more complex structures resembling organs, chambers, and sphincters. Okay, sphincters, this is a this is a rough one to start off with. If this is the first SCP anybody has seen, they'll be like, I'm not sure if SCP is something for me, man. I don't like the idea of things eating from the sink that resemble sphincters, man. I'm not sure if that's something for me. Sphincters serve to restrict the flow of fluids and solids, often causing a build-up of matter so as to increase the surface contact with SCP-840. Chambers typically grow in large cavities and aid in digestion process by secreting a highly acidic mucus or by serving as a storage area for resistant or indigestible materials. I hope whoever watches this on YouTube, you're not eating right now. The largest chamber on record had redirected a major sewer system in blank United States and had occupied Robo-Dude. The indigestible material will often remain in these chambers indefinitely, until it is either pushed further along the tract or forced through the walls of the chamber itself. I was worried that my voice was still muted for a moment there. Chambers may also take on characteristics similar to a bird's gizzard. What the fuck's a gizzard? The gizzard is also referred to the ventricle gastric mill and is an organ found in the digestive tract of some animals, including... Okay, interesting thing to choose from. Storing indigestible materials such as stones for the purpose of crushing difficult materials. Yeah, isn't that like a thing that some animals have to do? Where like they have to eat a stone with whatever they ate before to like crush it up and then they just buff. I think they buff up the whole food, right? Or like is it the whole food or just the stone? I think it's the whole thing, right? I know that owls, for example, they don't poop. They crush. I guess they digest it and then spit it out, and it's like this ball of just bones and whatever else is there. In an examination of the contents of one such chamber, the following was found: 2 rings, $28.20 in coins, several goldfish skeletons, number inconclusive, several rat skeletons, number inconclusive, 1 pair of glasses, 19 condoms. So it is whatever, because I know for a fact that a lot of teenagers flush condoms down the toilet, and I've been taught from an early age that we shouldn't do that. Because I actually went to a water, what's it called? I forgot what it's called, but you know, like where the water basically gets filtered from all the trash that gets flushed down, and condoms is the most common thing that they have to like collect, because first of all, it blocks a lot of things. It blocks the drainage, and it just ends up blocking a lot of machinery. So they don't want kids to flush condoms down. Just throw it away. Just throw it away. Be a regular human being and throw it away. What, are you gonna be really that scared that somebody's gonna find a condom and be like, oh, how dare he use protected sex? like really? Just throw it away normally. 1 key, 3 dolls. Did somebody flush dolls? Yeah, okay, to be fair. Somebody might, like an older brother or sister, might have tormented the younger brother or sister and thrown a doll down the drain, so... And some kids might have been curious and just thrown a doll in the toilet and just... And then, like... And then they later realize, like, I can't get that back. A turtle shell, 1 pair of false teeth, and 0.76 kilograms of human hair. That's a lot. That's almost a kilo. That's a lot. In rare cases, SCP-840 has been observed to organize into other tissues and even more complex structures. Some of these have been known to displace dirt, stone, concrete, and even metal by a combination of acids and physical pressure. excavated material is digested and transported away through the system, enabling SCP-840 to extend beyond its exoskeleton and establish new tracts. There have been rare instances of these branches reconnecting with other parts of the same tract, creating a circuitous system. Other structures have been known to form complex pump and valve systems, circulating digestive material through rhythmic contraction similar to the heart. Isn't it? It's very interesting how this, very much like biological being that can replicate biological organs, is also replicating technological machinery to live and eat. It's very fascinating. Okay. In most cases, any material that is ultimately not digested is forced out of the system wherever the tract ends, or through the tract walls, and often the natural flow of water will direct this material into normal sewage systems. However, in more established colonies, particularly those containing pump and valve systems, the flow has been known to redirect to other outlets, contaminating natural bodies of water, storm drains, and freshwater piping. Where material is not able to be ejected or disposed of, especially where large items unsuitable for being disposed of via sewage, right? The system may become blocked. Several recorded incidents show that in these circumstances, SCP-840 will induce I almost read enemies, but it says emesis, vomiting. Through a series of large contractions and the relaxation of sphincter, of course it is. SCP-840 was first observed on blank 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 in blank blank United States, when residents suffered second-degree burns while attempting to recover a lost ring from the bathroom sink by hand, presumably from contact with digestive acids. Oh. Ooh, and the house was subsequently placed under investigation after several meals. This is what I was saying though, like, I was like thinking, like, if something falls down into that drainage in America, that's literally what I said, then you can say goodbye to whatever is down there because it's gone. But from the looks of it, it cannot digest metal. So I think that ring is just floating somewhere in stomach acid. Well, not really stomach acid, but like whatever digestive acids from this thing. And but it is strong enough to give you I guess is our own acid strong enough to do that? I don't know. I don't know about that. Like, it's not. Excuse me. Is our own stomach acid strong enough to give us 2-degree, like second-degree burn? There's like no way to like know this, right? Like nobody has ever put their whole hand down somebody's throat and touched stomach acid and was like, yeah, definitely burns down there. You know what I mean? So after several meters of piping were removed, tearing part of the tract in the process, it was established that the colony was present in almost every drainage and pipe system in the house, after which the house was declared a biohazardous area by local authorities. That must be freaky to look at. Imagine, like, somebody has to, like, clear out the, like, open up the fucking floor, just look at your pipes, and then you see this, like, weird living creatures, like, around the pipes. I would freak out. I'd be like, what the fuck? This was not a contract when we bought the house. While an operation to remove the house's piping was underway, a second incident occurred in a house on a neighboring block where a resident, for reasons unknown, had been using the toilets to dispose of large rolls of plastic, ultimately causing a blockage in one of the chambers. As a result, the SCP-840 colony was induced to eject the partially digestive material not only removed from the second residence, but also from neighboring buildings, flooding several homes. The Foundation was alerted to the outbreak of potential SCP and soon after established the growth having covered redacted. A media blackout was enacted shortly after. incident log I-840. And here we go, that's incident report I-840A-1, date blank blank blank. The first known instance of SCP-840 colonizing a natural environment was observed in blank Australia. Wow, it moved from Australia to America? Jesus. The colony was discovered by a group of 4 cavers investigating an unexplored section of blank caves in blank. In an interview, the cavers stated that the colony was discovered as one member of the group attempted to crawl through a narrow passageway approximately 150 meters, 500 feet, from the cave entrance, while the rest of the group stayed behind, attaching a lifeline as a precaution. After having crawled for roughly 3 meters, 10 feet, the caver reported feeling a sticky growth on the cave walls, but dismissed it as moss and continued forward. The group became concerned when the caver reported feeling rhythmic contraction following along the cave walls, and alarmed when they claimed to be being pulled by the contractions shortly after which they were forcefully extracted via the lifeline. The extracted cave had suffered multiple mild to moderate burns to much of their body and was treated by the Foundation medical staff. Several bones were extricated with the caver, believed to have originated from a nearby fruit bat colony. Addendum: to the extent of the colony reported to incident I-840A-1, the area has been declared a civilian restriction zone until the colony has been completely eradicated, designated biocide blank. And that was the first one. Woo! So yeah, I was not too far off with like something in the drain that just eats whatever falls into the drain. I just didn't expect it to be every... I should have known that it was. I should have guessed that it was every single drain that is attached to the house. But in my head, it was only the sink. So knowing that this was every single pipe around the house. Also, what the hell was that guy thinking? Flushing down plastic. Like, if there was no SCP to speak of that decided to vomit all that plastic back out, what was he doing? What's going through his mind to being like, yeah, I just go throw the plastic down the toilet? And again, you have trash cans. There are recycling bins almost everywhere nowadays. Almost. There's certain areas that are a bit more stingy about recycling, but if you don't flush it down the toilet. You fucking idiot. My god. Okay. Well, that was the first one. Let's go to the next one. At 10 o'clock, I'm going to drink my Monster because a friend of mine will wake up. She's from Australia. She will wake up and then we're going to watch some stuff together online. So I'm going to be awake for a long ass time. SCP-841, Reverse Mirror Voodoo Doll Stick Puppet. That's a lot of adjectives and nouns. Actually, no, those are 5 nouns. Is reverse an adjective? It does say adjective here, but no, it's a verb. It's all. Okay. Well, this has a higher rating. It has a higher rating than the first one. Object class safe. Okay. Yeah, I'm surprised that SCP-840 wasn't Keter. Because, you know, it could be all around the world. The fact that it's considered Euclid is very interesting. Probably because, you know, it's not directly a threat to humankind, to humanity. Unless you stick your hand down the drain. You're good. Because it doesn't try to, like, eat you. It just literally eat whatever is going down the drain, and as long as you don't go down there, which is impossible anyway, except again your arm, then you're good. Containment procedure. The 14 component parts of SCP-841 are to be individually wrapped in plastic and contained in a standard inanimate object storage locker. Except for the purposes of approved experimentation, SCP-841 is to be reassembled. Reassembly of SCP-841 is only to be performed by remote manipulators or by D-Class personnel. Except for purposes of approved experimentation, SCP-841 must never come in contact with the skin of a living human. Okay, I mean, it's a doll, stick, puppet, it's everything. SCP-841's twine component is not anomalous and can be replaced as necessary. Consequently, all experimentation using SCP-841 is to be concluded by using a low-level infrared laser, 808 nm, I don't know what that nm means, 300 megawatts, I guess, to slice through the twine component. Description: SCP-841 is a wooden puppet, crudely approximating a human being, 14 pieces of peeled and unworked wood from the mountain white birch, Petula cordifolia, held together with twine at the major joints, head, torso, upper arms, lower arms, hands, thighs, lower legs, and feet. SCP-841's anomalous properties activate when it's fully assembled and comes in contact with the skin of a living human being. Oh boy, I just can't stop this feeling deep inside of me. Upon being grasped or manipulated by a human, SCP-841 will imprint upon the human, bending into a configuration which mirrors the human position as closely as possible. So if I were to sit down and then I would build this voodoo stick doll and then I touch it, it would then like go in the pose of sitting down, isn't it? Okay. SCP-841 and the subject will then mirror each other's movement, and any force applied to the figure while active will override the subject's own joints to continue mimicking SCP-841. Wait, hold on. I have to read that again just to be sure. So at first it will copy your movement, but then if somebody decides to like forcefully move the puppet, it will do the thing that usually voodoo puppets are known for, move you. That's like the classic voodoo, at least cartoon classic voodoo style. Like, oh, once I have this voodoo puppet and I put a hair on it, whatever I do with it, that's how the subject is like, oh, will move around as well. So a good example is Scooby-Doo in Zombie Island. Like, that's when they like, oh, we have wax voodoo dolls, and whatever they did with the wax voodoo dolls, that's what happened to the humans. So the resulting feedback loop may result in serious injuries or death due to overextension of or broken bones. The effect of SCP-841 diminishes quickly upon release, fading entirely within 2 seconds. Also, as long as you let go, it's okay. Interesting. So, do you end up injuring yourself, or does somebody else move with it? Well, he will have some test logs, so we will find out right now. Test log A: preliminary testings of object capability. T841-A. Well, test A1. Let's just say that. See a D-class subject instructed to pick up SCP-841 from table and lift the figure left leg. Upon being grasped by the subject, SCP-841 bent its legs into a seated position. Startled, the subject dropped SCP-841 on the table, the impact of which splayed out the figure arms and legs. Subject fell out of the testing chair as the fading effect of SCP-841 caused his arms and legs to jerk. I actually was thinking about it in the moment I said, oh, as long as you let go, you're good. But then I thought to myself, like, what happens if you let go and because it takes 2 seconds, and in those 2 seconds it just falls on the ground? You probably feel all that impact, don't you? And now that answers my question. Oh, Henry. Voodoo is a fickle thing. Test 2. D-class subject given the same instruction as test 1. While raising and lowering the figure's left leg, the subject's own leg mirrored the action precisely. Subject described an uncomfortable pressure on his left knee and hip joints. Yeah, it must be weird because like if you put pressure on the voodoo leg, that's the pressure you feel on your own leg as well. And then if you move the leg to one side, that increases the pressure on a certain point on a certain side, right? Like if you do this, like if you do that, depending on where you move it. So if I move it down, there will be increased pressure from the index finger, but in the moment I move it back up, there's an increased pressure of the thumb. So it probably is the same way for the voodoo doll. Is like depending on how you move it, you will suddenly feel like a shift of pressure on your own leg, and that must feel weird. Test 3. D-class subject instructed to lift SCP-841's left arm above its head. The movement of the figure's arm caused the subject to further raise his arm, which further raised the figure's arm, etc. Subject's arm was separated from his body at the shoulder due to the extreme acceleration and overextension. Subject expired of blood loss and shock at T plus 3 minutes. Oh shit. So, if one of the arms fall off, your own arm gets ripped out. You better stick. Test 4. D-class subject instructed to throw SCP-841 to the floor. Okay, listen. SCP Foundation, we only know that they can feel the impact. Or whatever happens to the doll. There's no need to throw it. That guy's gonna get himself killed because if he throws it on the ground, full force, that voodoo doll's gonna probably like poof, all of the legs, hands, and arms are just gonna shatter apart. I bet you that's what's gonna happen. Look here. SCP-841 to the floor. Subject suffered a shallow right kneecap and left elbow due to the extreme hyperextension, an open compound vertebral fracture, 2 shattered ankles, and a partially severed right leg. Also revealed that the leg had been rotated more than 360 degrees in the hip socket when the corresponding segments of the figure twisted as it fell. I told you. Why would you test that? That's, from test 1, you should be immediately aware. Okay, yeah, whatever we do to this doll will happen to the to the person. My God. Test 5. D-class subject given a pair of scissors and instructed to sever twine loops connecting the head and torso of SCP-841. Subject suffered complete decapitation and a shattered C4 vertebrae. SCP-841 repaired to full functionality with a fresh piece of cotton twine. I mean, to be fair, like the first 3 tests I get because I want I want to see how it works, and then you learn whatever that happens to the doll happens to the human being. And that should be it. Tests 4 and 5 were unnecessary. Those were just sick scientists who were like, we should just get rid of this guy, shouldn't we? Like, come on, let's just ask him to decapitate himself, but he doesn't know. History. SCP-841 was recovered during a raid on the Marshall Carter and Dark. Of course it's Marshall Carter and Dark. Who else would invent such an SCP? Whenever it's like an SCP that's like extremely dark or like can cause a lot of damage to humans, it's always Marshall Carter and Dark. It's always those guys. In blank, accompanying provenance documentation indicate that the item referred to as the reverse mirror voodoo doll stick puppet has been handcrafted by Redacted, referred to as a high-value frequent customer and a man of unmatched taste whose talent is known to all, and that despite repeated reduction in the asking price, the item had gone unsold for 11 years. Now, do I want to read this? Oh, it's short. I can read this. One afternoon at the fashionable clubhouse belonging to Marshall Carter and Dark Limited. Look what I made. It's lovely, sir. You are truly gifted. May I ask what it is? I made it using the kit that I brought from you guys last year, and the tools that you sold to my friend a few years back before his accident. And the wood came from a tree on that secret island in the secret lake that I had to rent the map from you guys for. And is that something else I have to read, or is that another like? Oh hey, SCP-476. Which one was that? Oh god, it's been a while. It's been a while. Let's see here. It's 476. That was, oh my god, that was a long time ago. Map to nowhere. Name is an atlas containing non-existent location, missing locations, and misplaced or misnamed location. Yeah. I remember this. The locations can be reached using a map, but only if the map is consistently checked while doing so. If the map is not consistently checked, you will return to normal geography and miss the location. Yes, inhabitants of those locations appear oblivious to the situation. Yes, I remember this map. Yep. Okay, so he used that map to find some trees to get the wood for the voodoo doll. Fascinating, sir, but what is it? It's a reverse mirror voodoo puppet. I'm sorry, sir, a what? Reverse mirror voodoo doll stick puppet. A mirror voodoo reverse mirror. But sir, a mirror already. Yes, sir. A reverse mirror voodoo doll stick puppet. Very impressive. You're a true artist. Yeah. So what will you give me for it? I beg your pardon? I'm selling it to you. What will you give me for it? Sir, I'm not authorized to make purchases on behalf of my employer, sir. I'll need to speak to my supervisor. Sure, you do that. This little baby ought to go for 8, maybe 9 million. Sir, please realize that the prices at which we sell items are not the prices we pay for items, and yeah, I gotcha. So, 80, 90 grand? So really, I'm not authorized to make purchases on behalf of. So what does the reverse mirror voodoo doll stick puppet even do? Pick it up. No. Take it out of the towel. Let it touch your skin. So I'm a client interaction representative, not a test subject. If you wish to purchase a human test subject for demonstration purposes, that can be arranged as a separate transaction. 11 years later. Hi. I was wondering, did anyone bid on my puppet this time? As a matter of fact, sir, yes, they didn't even get the chance. What? Before the auction could even start, the SCP Foundation raided the site and they stole your puppet. Really? I imagine he just freaks the fuck out. Just he just wanted cash. All he wanted was cash. That's what you get for making this thing in the first place. You could have just done anything else and sold it off, but of course you had to make something that's anomalous. That's your own fault. Congratulations, you played yourself. So I'm going to have to check my text occasionally because I'm talking to somebody. She just asked me, why are my glasses so orange? Is there a reason for that? And those are blue light glasses. They basically stop any blue light from screens. So they protect my eyes from looking at screens because I do that like majority of my life. For like either gaming, like on this or over there, for editing and streaming and script writing. I'm looking at screens all the time. So to protect my eyes, I have these bad boys. Okay. Operations table. And she sent me that message like 12 minutes ago. I need to check it more often. I'm so sorry. It didn't like update me at all that you sent me something. SPA42 operations table. Okay, here we go. A little bit lower than the SPA41, but that doesn't. Oh God! Now that's how you get tetanus. That's what it was. I almost said tinnitus, but tinnitus is the ear thing. That's how you get tetanus. If you operate on that shit, that's how you get tetanus for sure. Another safe. Yeah, I guess yeah, of course, the voodoo doll is safe because As long as you don't touch it or reassemble it back together, it doesn't do anything. Let's see here. Henry! Oh, I love you, Henry. You're so fluffy. You're so squishy. I love you. Look at him. I will never sit on you, though. Even though you're meant to be sit on. SB842 is housed as Site 19 in a standard 10 meters by 10 meters by 5 meters containment cell. Excuse me. All telephone lines, radio transceivers, internet connection, and other communication equipment to aid in the use of SB842 must be routed through a central server administered by Site 19 security. Maintenance of equipment is to be done on a monthly basis or upon request of administrator. Oh, this is prior to recovery. Oh boy. No security measures beyond a standard locked foundation security door are required. Access to SCP-842 is to be restricted to research with level 4 clearance or MTF commanders with authorization from all 5 personnel. Written proposals for use of SCP-842 are to be made at least 1 week before requests used and must detail the purpose of the operation and the estimated time of use. All Class D personnel required for use of SCP-842 are to be escorted by no fewer than 2 level 3 security personnel. Backup Class D personnel are to be kept in the adjoining containment cell and are to be prepped for use in SCP-842 by on-site medical personnel at least 1 day before use. No more than 1 Class D is to be allowed inside SCP-842's containment area at any time, aside from the Class D in use by SCP-842, and must be restrained by a 4-point harness. Alright, I'm gonna check if she... I'm not sure if she's still watching. It's very hard to tell when I'm... Like, it's hard to tell when, like, nobody is on Twitch and text there and then like, text me on my phone instead. Because then I'm like unsure if they're even around. Also, I'm surprised that Naima is not watching right now. Let me see if she responded to when I said that I'm streaming. She probably is just asleep. She usually is like super tired. And Liam is not here either. This is gonna be one of those streams when nobody's watching, which is one of those. It's a bit sad when that happens, but it happens occasionally. You know, sometimes you have 5 people watching, sometimes you have nobody watching, so it happens. Description: SCP-842 is a 2 times 8.8 meter deliberated antique operating table capable of remote viewing and surveillance. SCP-842 will use -1 to display terrain, buildings, objects, and entities within the chosen viewing area. -1 will be altered to mimic the chosen viewing area in real time, and any alteration of the viewing area or updated information will be displayed immediately on -1. SCP-842 will not display any anomalous properties until a living human lays face up on the table. Once the subject lays face up on the table, the subject becomes completely immobilized from the neck down. Oh god. And is henceforth designated -1. As long as -1 remains alive, it cannot be removed from the table. Excuse me, what? So you have to kill him? You have to kill the person to remove the body? Oh no. Oh no. Oh no, Mario. That's not good. That is no bueno. No bueno. No bueno at all. Remote viewing begins when a human touches SCP-842 while thinking about the area he wishes to see. Okay. GPS coordinates, longitude and latitude, first-hand knowledge of the location and or observation of a detailed map of the area is sufficient to allow activation of SCP-842. The person who first initiates SCP-842 controls the viewing area until the expiration of -1. If the controller wishes to view different areas, other floors, or increase or decrease magnification, he merely needs to think about it. Interesting. Is that why it's called the No, it's called the operations table. It's not called the observations table. Never mind. Objects are 3-dimensionally rendered on -1 by the near instantaneous alteration of -1's body. How this is accomplished is unknown at this time. Musculature and bone are the most commonly used material to render objects, but they look expunged, has sometimes been noted. The controller may tag objects or individuals with text. The text is displayed by use of veins and artery. Sound from the remote viewing area is channeled directly through -1's own vocalization. However, due to the fact that that -1 is fully aware of the trauma being inflicted, -1 screams and screams make deciphering sound from the viewing area difficult. -1 must remain conscious through the entire process to maintain real-time updates. Anesthesia or lobotomies drastically affect image fidelity and are not recommended. Medical personnel preparing Class D subject for use are to remove the subject's larynx unless specific requests to the contrary are made. -1 tends to survive generally between 15 to 20 minutes depending on the subject's physical health, the complexity of the rendition, the frequency of real-time updates that are required by the viewing, and the number of times changes of viewpoints which would require large-scale construction of a different view are required. Upon expiration of the subject, real-time updates of the viewing area cease and the subject at this point can be removed from the table. Autopsies conducted on corpses recovered after use demonstrate massive internal and external injuries. Organs are compacted, moved, or expunged completely. Musculature and bone are warped to a degree to make them unrecognizable as any bodily structure. It is unknown how -1 survives the continuous changes inflicted on its body or fails to go into immediate shock. Yeah, so I don't know if she's still here. I'm not sure if she heard my answer about the glasses. Users should know that SCP-842 does have a limitation. It is impossible to view areas underneath 15 feet of solid mass. My chin is super itchy right now. Additionally, the wider the area viewed, the more of SCP-842 relies on the controller's own knowledge or expectation of information regarding the area rather than SCP-842's seemingly omnipresent abilities. At short range viewing, generally within 10 times 10 meter area, the rendition will be nearly 100% accurate. At intermediate range, around 200 times 200 meters distance, tokens only represent the general area within 10 meters where the objects could be located. Long range of greater than 200 meters are strictly limited to terrain and the controller personnel knowledge and or expectations. Finally, areas of high psychic activity or other EM interference can render information gained by SCP-842 highly unreliable. SCP-842 is not to be used for fishing expedition unless the controller knows specifically which location is desired or what information is sought. Class D personnel are consumed at an unacceptable rate. Okay, recovery log. SCP-842 was recovered in a raid on an ad hoc, how do you say that? Ad hoc? Chaos Insurgency facility located in the Ural Mountains on blank blank blank. Foundation agents have received a tip that the insurgency was transporting several SCP objects and had temporarily established a base camp in the abandoned town of blank. Foundation casualties numbered over blank agents and blank Class D personnel. The unusually high casualties were attributed to the Chaos Insurgency commanders using SCP-842 to organize their defense. Only due to Agent data expunged. Quick thinking and uncommon valor was data expunged and the object brought into containment. Test log. Subject corpse of previously terminated Class D. Area to be viewed. An adjoining containment cell containing D4537 sitting in a chair. Result, no result. Sedated Papio Anubis, Olive Bamboon, and adjoining containment cell containing D457 sitting in the chair, no result. Subject D458, heavily sedated, and adjoining containment cell containing D457 sitting in a chair. Upon touching the table, Dr. Blank immediately noted bones and sinew erupting from D458's chest area, while D458's arms and legs fused into the central mass to form a roughly even block covering SCP-842, despite the massive trauma done to as BA4 through D458. He did not expire or lapse into shock. No blood or bodily fluid spray occurred. The three-dimensional representation of the adjoining containment room was highly distorted, and no recognizable details could be made out. D458 expired after 22 minutes of viewing. Cause of death, massive internal trauma. Subject D459, an adjoining containment cell containing one D458 sitting in a chair. The three-dimensional representation of the adjoining containment room immediately erupted from D458's 9 chest. D459 begins screaming before security could return with a gag. D459 overheard muttering, "Wish I had a cigarette," in between screams. Details on the representation were extremely fine, including on an accurate scale representation of the chair and D457, seemingly made out of data expunged. During the experiment, the representation of D457 got up from the chair and began moving about the viewing area. D459 screams at this point intensified. D459 expired after 22 minutes of viewing. Review of surveillance information in D457's room confirms confirms the representation of D459's completely and accurately mirrored D457's actions, including his request for a cigarette. D460, area to be viewed, a supermarket that Dr. Blank had never personally visited. Prior to this experiment, Dr. Blank was shown the location on the target area on a map. The three-dimensional representation of the supermarket and surrounding parking lot rendered small tokens made out of data expunged, rendering cars and people moving about the store. Dr. Blank was able to view the inside of the store by thinking about removing the roof from the representation. Upon the thought, the flesh and arteries that made up the roof of the supermarket rapidly would grow or retract. Dr. Blank thought about viewing the produced section in detail. The representation rapidly reconstructed into the produced section, showing objects and people moving through the area in much greater detail. Subject expired after 7 minutes. I now finally get what's happening. I was first a bit confused. I thought like the person, I didn't know the person themselves is transforming into the space. I didn't understand that part before. That part I didn't check for some reason, but now I get it. D461, area to be viewed, all Foundation asset in North America. Dr. Blank was not provided any information regarding O5 command level information regarding distribution of Foundation resources. Result, an accurate rendition of North America was created. The only map tokens generated, however, were for Site 19 and one for Dr. Blank, which the controller was aware that Dr. Blank was taking a vacation in the city located near the token. The controller was then told Agent Blank was on assignment in Redacted. A new token representing Agent Blank was instantly generated. Okay. Subject D462, the nucleus of carbon atoms held in a vacuum in Site 19, Lab Blank. Upon touching the table, data expunged, resulting in 2-week cleanup and blank casualties. Testing on the quantum or stellar scale has been indefinitely suspended. Ooh, interesting one. As I said, I first I didn't fully understand, but now I do. Now I do. In 7 minutes, I'm going to drink my Monster Energy. We're at the 4th one. Oh, this is a short one. Cow seeds. Cow seeds. Alright. Euclid. Oh, kind of interesting how both Euclids are like 77 and 88 in rating. They're below the 100. And the two safe ones are above the 100. I don't know why in my head I always think like safe has a chance of not being as liked because you know it's safe, it's not as risky. But of course the way you write them is how the rating works. A safe one can be highly liked because that's just what it does, but it is considered safe because it's not like it can be locked away pretty easily. You have to activate it in some way, you know, and all that stuff. So, yeah. Special containment procedures. All 3 contained instances of -1 are to be stored in the original packaging within an airtight container. Should any unusual sounds be heard from within the container, D-Class personnel armed with flamethrowers are to enter and cleanse the area. -2 is to remain in an enclosed pen, while D-Class personnel entering every 12 hours to supply grain and water. Any instance of -1 or -2 in the wild to be reported and destroyed. Description: so this was cow seed. So -1 appears to be a seed of. Oh, my Apple invoice. Okay, to be a seed of Phaseolus lunatus lima bean, painted white with black spots to resemble. I just now realize I completely gave up on the whole idea of like trying to like think what it is from the title alone. But I would never guess that actually it's a bean that's black with that's white with black dots on it. Resemble typical Holstein cow's coat. The original packaging for -1 contained 5 of these seeds, as well as a piece of paper proclaiming the items within to be cow seeds. -1 is itself harmless, though when planted within 5 days, -2 will manifest. -2 is a creature similar to the typical Holstein cattle, save that it is composed entirely of an unknown plant matter. At first, -2 is much like a young calf and is rooted to the soil it sprouted from. However, at anywhere between 5 and 10 days, the calf will uproot itself and begin to grow at blank times the rate of a normal calf. After uprooting, -2 will grow increasingly aggressive. As there is only one instance of -2 in containment. It is not currently known or how, even if -2 reproduces or how SCP-1 is formed. It is currently theorized that did expunged. SCP-843 was purchased on blank 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 by Agent Blank in a rural town in blank. 2 seeds were planted in her garden and soon sprouted, showcasing -2. Blank reported and was able to contain one instance of -2. However, the second escaped into rural blank. There's a wild plant cow out there somewhere. Addendum: Agent Blank reported that the store that she purchased the item from apparently had a couple of displays full of the things, and many people were interested in them. A recovery team was sent to the location Blank provided, but found that the store had been the victim of a faulty electric system and had burned to the ground. All records of transactions have proven to be inaccessible, as the store was cash only and had no computer-based record of transaction. As such, Mobile Task Force Upsilon 2 cattle wranglers has been established, searching for and containing more instances of -2. Imagine just going on a field and there's just 50 plant cows walking around and they just all see you and just a whole stampede happens because as you remember they are quite aggressive. I would have never guessed cow seeds to be actual like bean or seeds that you put into the earth and it's just a cow just grows out of it. But it's made out of plant. Crybaby. Well, from the title alone, I can't really. It could be a literal baby that's crying. It could be a grown ass adult that's crying. I don't know what the anomalous effect would be. Maybe that whenever it cries, everybody else starts to cry. Okay. No worries. Let me explain to you. If you're there, I'll say again. The reason why the glasses are orange is because it protects me from blue light, since I'm looking at the screen majority of the day, for like editing, script writing, work, gaming, streaming, watching stuff. So usually I need these glasses to protect me eyes. How long is this? Okay, after this I can get my monster energy. So I hope you heard it this time, because it would be weird if I had to repeat myself a third time. And if you didn't hear it, I will just text it to you. You're out of touch. I'm out of time. Dun, 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 dun. Again, a Euclid that's like lower rated. Original recovery style of SP844. Okay, I don't know why. This gives me typical horror video game vibes. Imagine walking through this and you hear a child crying, which is, again, that's kind of like what I'm thinking Crybaby could potentially be. I would hate it. Because this is not a place a child should be. This is definitely not a place a child should be in. If it is, if the SCP even is a child, it might not be a child. Again, it might be a grown-ass adult. Or it might just be some mystical creature that just makes crying sounds. From all we know, the Predator could be in there. As in the Predator alien, not a Predator as in like a child Predator. You know what I mean? Like Euclid. SCP-844 is currently contained at Site Blank. Site Blank. SCP-844 is to be contained in a well-lit chamber measuring 6 times 6 meters and provided with 1 bovine each month in accordance with nutrition chart -1 or 844-1. Each month, SB-844 is to be reduced in size by 2 D-class personnel using shears. Okay, it's definitely not human, or at least I don't think it is. It might be humanoid, but it's not, because some SCPs are just regular humans that just happens to gain weird abilities. I don't think this one is human. Again, it might be humanoid-like, kind of like a Shy Guy. Shy Guy is humanoid, but it's not a human being. So any personnel entering SCP-844's containment chamber must wear a protective suit in order to prevent injury or death. So this thing might be a bit dangerous. Might be a bit dangerous. There we go. I think. Yeah, there we go. SCP-844 SCP-844 is an amorphic mass composed primarily of human bones. Oh joy. Large amounts of dust and a form of luminescent fungus which is red in color. See, when you read the title Crybaby, that is not what I had in mind. SCP-844 appears to prefer to dwell in dark, warm areas with minimal human presence when it is not hunting or feeding. It hunts, it feeds, it... Oh, great. The only light source I have are these on, like, in the hallway right there is, like, pure black, so... And if this was a horror movie, anything could be standing right there and looking at me and I wouldn't know. And the moment I look over there, it could just jump at me. SCP-844 is predatory and highly mobile, having demonstrated the ability to hide from assailants by moving across walls and ceilings. It has a particular method of hunting involving lure tactics, which has been... It's doing the Wendigo thing, which has been abstained from using since arriving in Foundation custody, although on arrival it did attempt to use bovine to lure researchers nearby. It's doing the Wendigo thing, or the shapeshifters. One of the two. I'm pretty sure it's Wendigos that do it, where they pretend to mimic a person yelling for help in the forest in the middle of the night to lure you in. But in this case, it probably makes it sound like it's a child crying. And then you're like, oh, you okay, little child? And next thing you know, you see this mass of bones and fungus. Like, you're like, oh, shoot. My death is imminent. My death is happening right now, actually. Okay. When hunting, SCP-844 will first attempt to lure a human target, usually between the ages of 6 to 12. Okay, that's not what I expected. Into a fairly secluded area, SCP-844 accomplishes this by leaving a trail of red, viscous liquid when hunting, which quickly coagulates into a semi-solid edible mass. Oh no, it's like candy. The area the victim is lured to is usually an easily accessible location that experiences minimal traffic. Oh, and you know, some kids, they don't care. Some kids look at that and be like, shit's good. I don't care if it's on the floor. Once there's SCP-844 will settle itself into a poorly lit area and using the number of hooked barbs stored within its main mass secure the victim into place. This is actually a really good concept for a horror movie though. I might even do this for like season 3 of my show. Once I have like a higher budget and like a following, I might do this one. I'm gonna write this one down. Time to write this shit down quickly. Write it down, write it down. Let me just. Sorry about this. It will take a bit. Just need to get all the stuff open. This is 844. This sounds like a fun idea. It's a dark idea, but it would be a good horror short. So, cry, baby, cry me a river. But why is it called Cry Baby? That's still unexplained so far. I'm kind of worried why it would be called that. Ported area, yep. SCP-844 will then use a variety of physical methods to incite the victim into vocalizing distress. It is primarily realized through the use of the sharpened bones that make up a section of its mass. During this process, SCP-844 takes great care to ensure that the wounds inflicted are non-fatal, so that this victim can be reused for further hunting. That's dark. Typically, an individual will approach and investigate the vocal. So it is kind of like the Wendigo thing, but instead of mimicking the sound of a baby cry, of a child crying, it makes a child cry. Typically, an individual will approach and investigate the invocalization, at which point SCP-844 will attack. This attack is usually swift and painless, as SCP-844 aims for the neck and head of the victim at this time. SCP-844 will then extract and absorb the bones of the victims into itself. During its containment, SCP-844 has been observed to rest on the ceiling of its cell, attempt to damage lights illuminating its containment chamber, and to sharpen bones incorporated into itself on the chamber's walls. And yeah, that's why it has to like, get cut into half, because it's probably every time it eats somebody, it probably grows in mass. Ooh, this. Yes, but. Oh, this is Henry. I'm just gonna I'm just gonna talk to you like this instead of over text here. This is Henry right here. I ordered him when a YouTuber, well a virtual YouTuber, it was her birthday, and she designed, well, she can draw, so she designed this, and basically the community that follow her are him. They're called takodachis, and tako in Japanese means octopus, and tomodachi in Japanese means friend. So she combined those two words to make it a taco friend, takodachi, and that's who he is. He's a takodachi, but I call him Henry. And last stream, you wouldn't know, but last stream I explained the reason why I call him Henry is because of a video that I watched many years ago, like when I was like 13, 14 in school. Somebody showed me like a video of a phonetic pronunciation where somebody read an excerpt of a book, and they pronounced every like dot and commas and all that stuff. Like a period would be like wait, excuse me, like that. A comma would be like that. Question mark. And so on and so forth. Like he did all that stuff, and in one part of that video, he suddenly goes Henry, and that made me laugh so hard, as back then. And when he freshly arrived and I had to think of a name, I followed that video, and I followed like I just looked at him and I was like, Henry, and that's why he's called Henry now. That's why he's called Henry. And he's my dear friend. He's my buddy in streams. In streams, he's right next to me. In my YouTube videos, he's gonna be over there, sitting over there, because that's for comedic purposes. It's a bit funnier. Oh yeah, I should probably. We are now halfway through. Perfect. We streamed for like an hour. Well, we read for like an hour. And we reached the halfway point. Let me get my monster energy! Bestiality? No, I should not have said that, because no one's going to get that joke except one person that I know. It's been a while since I have classic monster. Ah, yeah. Oh, yeah. A liquid polecat. There's a lot of cats in the SCP Foundation, I realize. Now, Euclid, and this is the most highly rated so far. Specimens of SCP-845 are to be contained in a... Let me see if she responded to what I said. That's pretty cool. I like Henry a lot. Such a cutie, honestly. Yeah, he's oh, yeah, also... Takodachis usually have like the eyes closed, like they usually have like the line eyes, but the reason why he's blushing and has his eyes open is because he knows that you're about to put your ass on him, so he's like, oh, is this the time? Is this going to happen now? That's why he's like, like excited. You little perv, just like me. Is to be contained in a hermetically sealed chamber at least. Wait. Liquid polecat. So I'm not sure. What is a polecat? What is a polecat? Oh. Yeah, I just imagine that, but it's made out of liquid. It's just fluid. So that's why I imagine it is. A medically sealed chamber at least 4 times 6 times 3 meters in size, with no more than 7 individuals specimens kept in a single chamber at any given time. The bottom of each chamber should be covered to 15 centimeters with clay-rich soil, safe for reservoir of fresh water, as well as a dispersal of sticks and logs. The chamber should be brightly lit during daylight hours and dimly lit at night. The reservoir should be continually stocked with small fish for feeding, as SCP-845 will not recognize non-living fish as food. Also, it has to be alive. Wild specimens of SCP-845 are to be captured and transferred to a suitable containment facility. Waterways believed or confirmed to be inhabited by SCP-845 should be sealed off from the public and carefully monitored for activity until such time it is believed that all specimens have been captured. Oh yeah. SCP-845 is a species closely related to both the European polecat, Mustela putorius, and domesticated ferret, Mustela putorius furor. Specimens of SCP-845 appear similar to a common hybrid between these subspecies, with a dark fur, a pointed muzzle, and an elongated body. SCP-845 demonstrates greater prevalence of social behavior and diminished territorial instincts compared to European polecats. Okay, so far so good. So it sounds pretty normal, but here comes the next paragraph. That's probably where it all gets a bit weird. Right? Am I right, Henry? SCP-845's anomalous abilities manifest when a specimen is startled, hunting, or rarely when participating in play behavior. During such time, specimens are capable of fully converting their bodies into a liquid. See? Yeah, I fucking... In this state, the specimen is a light brown liquid with density slightly less than that of water. So it would float above water if it were in water. It will most often flow freely, but will change viscosity rapidly if it is in danger of being separated into multiple masses. Okay. Which has been shown to invariably kill the specimen. Aww. And will revert to its solid form if it is in extreme danger of this occurring. Its liquid state shows limited motility on land, but is extremely mobile underwater. So it goes underwater, okay. Capable of forming itself into complex hydrodynamic structures, including fins and water jets for use in hunting fish. Wow, that this thing can just go gadget water jet. Inspector Gadget. Yes. Analysis of its liquid state is ongoing, but has revealed the presence of fiber-like structures connecting nodules of dead expunged. Specimens of SBA45 seem to seek out small contained spots for resting, including in their liquid state. Because of this, specimens are known to sometimes enter human canteens while on camping trips. If a human or other animal attempt to consume part of the specimen will either attempt to retract itself from the subject's mouth, or may force the subject to consume it in its entirety. Both seem to be instinctual reactions attempting to remain in a single piece. Upon being deposited into the subject's stomach, the specimen will enter an apparent state of confusion, switching rapidly between solid and liquid states. Shortly afterwards, the specimen will re-solidify and initiate burrowing behavior in an attempt to escape. Oh, it's going to try to like chest burster, alien style, coming out. The subject will experience severe internal bleeding and acute peritonitis as the specimens tear through the walls of the stomach, muscle and tissue of the abdominal cavity. Upon successful breaching the surface of the subject's skin, the specimen will enter a liquid state and exit through the wound before re-solidifying and attempting to return to its original habitat. I can what? But that part is a bit brutal, but I mean, it kind of is like a normal animal that just panics. I can see why it's Euclid though, and not safe, because you never know if you accidentally drink one of these things. What do you have? Wait, hold on. Oh, okay. Woo! The monster's about to kick in. I can feel the shakes. Oh. Yeah, why not? Why not there? Yeah. 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 Who is this? Oh, this is the strongest rated so far. Robo-Dude. I am Robo-Dude. Robo-Dude. Okay. It is safe. SB-846 is to be contained in a reinforced steel safe located in storage unit blank at site blank. SB-846 containment area is to be guarded by 3 security personnel at all times. Any unauthorized personnel attempting to access SB-846 are to be taken into custody and interrogated by on-site security. Activation of SB-846 must be authorized by at least 3 level 4 personnel. Any testing of SB-846 is to take place at an on-site firing range. Description. By the way, this says SB-846 in its dormant state. It looks like when he wakes up, he's gonna be like, "I'm gonna fuck you over, dude." Yeah, dude, I'm gonna mess you up. You won't even see it coming. SB-846 is a plastic toy robot measuring 20 centimeters in height and 5 centimeters in width. The bottom of SB-846 right foot bears the text "Robo-Dude, now with voice command action" by Dr. Von Entertainment. Hey, it's been a while, Dr. Von Entertainment. It's been a while. It's been a while since I've seen your name. Signs of paint, chipping, and minor damage to SCP-846 indicate that it's roughly 10 years old, although attempts to question SCP-846 on this have been ignored. See Interview-1. SCP-846 is operated using a small controller featuring an on-off button, a speak... I didn't do the fucking guess what it is thing. I need to get used to doing that. A speak button and a small microphone. SCP-846 is activated using the on-off button, and verbal communication can be facilitated using the speak button. SCP-846 appears to be extremely well programmed, if not sentient, and will respond to most questions posed to it. SCP-846 identifies itself as Robo-Dude and claims that it possesses 350 robo-accessories. When asked to use one of these accessories, the torso of SCP-846 slides open, revealing the desired accessory, which it then proceeds to utilize. The interior of SCP-846 appears to change completely each time it is asked to utilize an accessory. SCP-846 seems to be unable to utilize these accessories without being instructed to do so. SCP-846 has claimed to possess, among other things, a fire drill tested functioned as a flamethrower, an energy laser tested functioned as a pistol, a boom ray tested functioned as a rocket launcher, a Mellotron 5000 tested sprayed acid at target, an ultra plasma rifle tested functioned as an assault rifle, a hydrogen cannon tested functioned as a children's water gun, but bug spray tested released on a defined organism that consumed the wooden target. A ray gun tested released stream of gamma radiation, and atomic grenade testing strictly forbidden. Yeah, probably not a good idea. Anything with atomic grenade should not be tested. SCP-846 was brought into the containment after an unknown individual delivered it in a sealed package to Redacted, a front company for the SCP Foundation. The label of the package simply read, Merry Christmas! Agents, upon learning of SCP-846's unusual properties, informed their superiors. SCP-846 was subsequently taken into Foundation custody. And here we have the interview that they said, like, somewhere up here. Here it is. Okay. Dr. Blank activates SCP-846. Thank you for purchasing your very own Robo-Dude made by Dr. Von Entertainment. Any attempt to operate Robo-Dude other than in accordance with the product instructions, including any attempt to open or service Robo-Dude, is likely to result in unpredictable behavior. Dr. Von Entertainment is not liable for any damage, destruction, or loss of professional or real property, or for any injury up to and including death to the owner, the operator, or others which may result from the operating of Robo-Dude functions. By interacting with Robo-Dude in any way or by remaining in Robo-Dude's presence within 5 seconds following the completion of this announcement, you accept the terms and conditions described in this announcement as amended and supplemented by Dr. Von Entertainment from time to time, whether before or after acceptance, and agree to hold blameless Dr. Von Entertainment and anyone affiliated with Dr. Von Entertainment from and against all liability or losses relating to Robo-Dude. Dr. Von Entertainment reserves all rights and remedies, including but not limited to intellectual property rights in and to Robo-Dude, Robo-Pal, Robo-Accessories, and all patents, trademarks, copyrights, and other intellectual properties embedded or embodied therein. Greetings, Robo-Pal. Hello, SCP-846. How are you? Robo-Dude is functioning at full capacity, Robo-Pal. That's nice. I'd like to ask you a few questions, SCP-846. Where were you produced? Robo-Dude. Robo-Dude is the intellectual property of Dr. Von Entertainment. Alright, when were you made? Robo-Dude is the intellectual property of Dr. Von Entertainment. Okay. SCP-846. This unit is designated Robo-Dude. Please refer to Robo-Dude as Robo-Dude. No. Please tell me about yourself, SCP-846. This version of Robo-Dude is equipped with over 100 new Robo-accessories and Robo-features, including Voice Action, Power Punch, and Robo-Dance. Robo-Dude will now demonstrate Robo-Dance. No, thank you, SB846. I'd like to, at this point, SB846 began a Robo Dance, which lasted 23 minutes. SB846 ignored all questions during this time period. Are you finished? Robo Dance is complete, Robo Pal. How do you access new weapons, SB846? There's no way they could all fit inside of you. Robo-Dude is equipped with interior shift, an innovative new robo feature from Dr. Entertainment. Interesting. How are you responding to my questions? Have you been programmed to do so? Robo-Dude is the intellectual property of Dr. Entertainment. SB846, tell me why you're able to respond to questions. Do not intimidate Robo-Dude. I'm gonna fuck you up, dude. That's what he says at the end. Do not intimidate Robo-Dude. I will fuck you up, doctor. Like, the doctor part is the only thing he says normal. Like, everything's like, I will fuck you up, doctor. Doctor. It's like, what? How? He even says, like, his real name. He's like, how do you know that? Nobody else knows this. Nobody! Okay. The mannequin. There is a shit ton of SCPs that look like mannequins in this. I don't know what this one could do. I don't know. For all I know, this might do the thing that every horror game mannequin does. The moment you look away, it moves closer, and you look back, and it's just like... Henry, what do you think it does? Henry! Speak to me! Honestly, because I'm reading all this stuff, it would be kind of creepy if Henry started to speak to me. If I said, like, speak to me, Henry, and Henry was like, well, you see, I'd be like, ah! 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 This is a lengthy one. Let me just check if my friend is awake yet. Hopefully not, because you know, I'm not ready. Nope, she's not. We're good. We're in the clear. Wait, so I just got another thing here. Okay, no, we're in the clear. Euclid, that's also pretty highly rated. SB847 is to be kept in a reinforced modified humanoid containment chamber for the purposes of ongoing behavioral studies. In the room is to be fully furnished with a bed, dresser, couch, table, chair, full-length mirror, sink, shower, and toilet. The floor of the chamber is to be constructed with 1 cm exposed beams of copper, which can be electrified remotely to a minimum 50 Kelvin potential. A 50 cm squared safe zone at the rear right corner of the containment chamber is to remain free of copper beams in case of personal inside containment during disabling of SB847. No meals are to be provided. All personnel posted to SB847 must be armed with a shock baton rated at 30 Kelvin or greater. Only men cross out XY males identifying as such as to be. Oh, hey, that's progressive. That's nice. And as such are to be assigned or to permitted within a 50-meter radius of SCP-847. And there's a footnote that says individuals with Klinefelter or Turner syndromes have not been tested for SCP-847 at this time and should not be considered eligible candidates for SCP-847 duties. After the result of experiment 847G, upon order of the ethics committee, intersex, transgender, and non-binary personnel are prohibited from working with, handling, or approaching SB847 for their own safety and well-being. When assigning personnel to SB847, preferences to be given to men who are not sexually attracted to women. You gonna send the gay people out too? They better be safe at the end of this. Although it's an SCP, it might not be. Oh. SCP. SCP-847 is a human female mannequin. Ah, that's why. Never mind, I read that wrong before. Gay people are the safe option. Straight people die. I get it now. It's a human female mannequin, 156 centimeters tall and 27 kilograms in mass. I was about to say that's very light for the fact that it's so tall. Well, it's not really very tall. It's like it's very short, but then I remember it's a mannequin. They're mostly hollow inside, so of course they're not that heavy. Constructed of human hair and an unknown composite fibrous polymer that abrades and shatters similar to porcelain. Exploratory laparoscopy of SCP-847 shows the presence of internal structures resembling an incomplete set of bones, organs, and major blood vessels. Composed of the same polymer, small amounts of black volatile resin similar to plastination compounds leak from the eyes and damaged regions of the mannequins. SCP-847 has always been, crossed out, is normally at some level of disrepair, with shattered areas on the torso, head, and limbs. See Addendum B for details. SCP-847 is animate and moves with erratic, stiff motions while shuddering to maintain balance. It demonstrates different behavior depending on the genotypical sex and identified gender of nearby humans. These behavioral patterns are grouped as Pattern Z, Pattern Y, and Pattern X. Oh boy. Oh boy. What does it do if a man shows up? Pattern Z behavior occurs when there is no human within 50 meters. SCP-847 remains inanimate and silent 99.5% of the time under these conditions. When animate or animate? Because animation, right? But it also when animate or animate? No, animate. I think this is how it is. SCP-847 will dress in any available clothes, stand in front of any available full-length mirror, and return to an inanimate state, adopting a pose that showcases the outfit worn. That doesn't seem so bad. But again, it doesn't seem so bad because no human is involved in this. It favors clothing which is designated for young women and which leaves ample skin exposure. On rare occasions, SCP-847 will scratch short messages on nearby surface with a finger, or depending on the state of repair, with an available appendage. Messages written since entering Foundation custody are found in Addendum C. This one seems very interesting. I'm very fascinated what it does, and I'm also fascinated if it's like really fucked up things it does, or whatever it says is really like eerie. Mannequins in general are like eerie to begin with. Like, I recently finished the first season of Twilight Zone, and there's an episode with mannequins in it, and the whole thing is like a girl goes up because she wants to get a present for her mom, and she's in the store, and they send her up to the top floor, but the top floor actually doesn't exist. And then she complains because like the present she bought was actually scratched, so she wants to like return it, but she can't because the top floor is gone and it doesn't exist. And then after a while, she sees the seller of the ring, but it's a mannequin. And then she faints, wakes up next while the store is closed because they forgot to wake her up and send her home. And then she manages to get up somehow again. Of course, she goes up the elevator, but it's the top floor is back, and then all the mannequins are there, and they're all like kind of like talking to her, and it's like really eerie. But then we find out that she herself was actually a mannequin, and every 5-10 years they swap. Like, somebody gets to be a human being and go out and explore the world, and the other mannequins stay in the store. And it's a very interesting concept, but it's also like, as I was saying, mannequins are kind of freaky. They're kind of eerie. Something about them is eerie because like they're supposed to represent humans, but like they don't fully do. And that's what's eerie about them. And so that episode kind of like had that same effect on me. I was like, ugh. But yeah. Pattern Y, behaviors are adopted when there are male subjects but no female subjects within 50 meters, independent of intervening obstacles. Initial stage behaviors involve emitting vocalization resembling high-pitched whimpering gasps, Vocalization were deeper upon initial acquisition have become increasingly high in pitch over time. See audio log 32 for comparison. I don't think there is one, but okay. And adopting more provocative poses. Occasional showers can be observed during this time. After 3 to 5 minutes after the initial stage, SB847 behavior enters a secondary stage, during which it becomes fully animate, approaching any male subject, adopting a hunched pose, and appearing to look up into the subject's eyes. Vocalization during this period become more frequent and longer in duration. The idea of a mannequin having a hunched pose is very freaky to me. Like kind of like this. I don't like that. Subjects are able to handle and freely alter or pose SB847 during this time. When posed, it holds the new pose as balance allows. The final stage of pattern Y behavior The final stage of pattern Y behaviors occurs approximately 5 minutes after all subjects have left the 50 meters perimeter of SB847. It will then shall select portions of its body and or extract internal structures. Once shadowing the extraction is complete, it emits sobbing vocalization and returns to pattern Z behaviors. Okay. So for some reason, when a guy is around, it acts very submissive, and then it breaks itself apart. But why? Why is that the case? Is it trying to like impress us, and then like our frustration that we didn't impress us, it breaks itself, or is it trying to like, or is it just genuinely scared of us, and then when we pose it, it hates itself because that it allowed itself to be manipulated by us. Pattern X's behavior occurs when any female subject approaches within 50 meters, independent of intervening obstacles, whether male subjects are present or not. SB847 will emit vocalization resembling distressed grunts and screeches, immediately animate, and physically attack the woman. During pattern X behavior, SB847 strength and speed are greatly increased. Oh no. With sprints of up to 45 kilometers per hour, an exertion of 40 kilonewtons of force having been measured. Oh no, a mannequin is sprinting at you at 45 kilometers per hour. That is During an attack, SB847 will occasionally shallow an independence, usually a finger or toe, in order to produce a sharp edge. Furthermore, plastination resin is released from its eyes, mouth, and shadowed sections of its body. Resin falling in open wounds result in a quick hardening of soft tissue that spread until the victim's body reaches a composition of a similar polymer as SB847. Following plastination, SB847 will harvest selected body parts from the victim corresponding to damaged sections of its own body. It will fuse these parts to its body via the resin. Not all damaged sections will be repaired in this way. Upon completion of harvesting, SB847 will return to pattern Y or pattern Z behavior. The resin produced by SB847 has been shown to have its anomalous plastination effects occur only when applied to soft tissues of women. The resin has no effect on cadaverous, non-human or male tissue. Application of high voltage electricity in excess of 10 Kelvin. Will cause a temporary solidification of the resin, resulting in SB847 becoming inanimate for approximately 5 minutes, regardless of the behavior pattern expressed at this time. Okay, that was interesting, but we don't even halfway through yet. I couldn't even say that sentence completely. We're not even halfway through yet. Recovery log is Addendum A. A federal human trafficking investigation led to the discovery of SB847 in the basement of an abandoned blank department store in Las Vegas, Nevada, on the 23rd, 1983, surrounded by partially disassembled and broken non-anomalous female mannequins wrapped in plastic sheets. FBI agents of the scene witnessed SB-847 exhibit pattern Y behavior. Initially thinking it a trafficking victim, agents moved in to assist. SB-847 then switched to pattern X and attacked one of the agents. The agent subdued SB-847 with her stun gun, leading to the discovery of high voltage electricity as a tool for containment. Oh, okay, that's cool. The fact that like they learned from like the recovery stuff, like, oh, that's how we found out that this works, which is very rare. That like somebody who was not connected to the foundation has done something that helps the foundation out. Is very rare in the so far. I haven't read many that do that. Of course, how the SCP behaves around humans always tells them a little bit of how to battle against or contain the SCP, but the fact that like the police like used a stun gun and then that was effective, and then the foundation was like, aha. The UIU was informed of the situation. Foundation agents were contacted through regular channel, and SCP-847 was secured. Despite signs of human habitation, the trafficking victims were never found. Just because I like to freak myself out. Oh, I can't even. Okay, that's the biggest we have, the picture. Okay, never mind. I thought it would be like bigger, and it would just be like really eerie to look at. And then B, shattering event log. Notable shattering events are listed below. Due to the shattering and harvesting behaviors of SB-847, it has significantly altered appearance since entering Foundation custody. See photos in log for different stages of completion. The 8th 27th, 1983. Description of event: SB-847 shatters chest after researchers leave containment. Researcher notes: Researcher blank was heard to verbally note unrealistic proportions in the containment chamber during initial placement. Researchers have advised to avoid any verbal commentary regarding SB-847 while in the containment chamber. Replacement harvested 9th 12th 1983. So it is the fact that she that this SCP cares what, like, is trying to impress us. It shatters whatever we don't like, or whatever we would complain about. So if we say like, oh, the arm's pretty heavy, it will shatter its arm. What would happen if you go up to him like, you're beautiful, I love the way you are? Then what? Will it then not shatter itself, or will it just not do anything? And I assume the reason why it attacks women is because it doesn't want competition. Because as it says, like the moment the man's around, it's all like submissive and all that. But in the moment the woman is around, it's aggressive. That would be an interesting concept in a game. Can you imagine? You play a horror game, and you can pick the gender, and you don't know about it at first. But if you pick the women, and you walk into the mannequins, in a section that has mannequins, they fucking chase you down. But if you pick the male one, they don't. I would think that would be an interesting little concept. It doesn't have to be like mannequins and male and female stuff, but like it's just the idea behind that is very interesting. Date 5th 14th 1984. Excuse me. Only in SCP readings do I, for some reason, always say 4 and 5 all the way around. Like I say 5 to 4 and I say 4 to 5. I don't know why. SCP-847 shatters nose after experiment E with D8334. As part of regular testing protocols, subjects are not informed of SCP-847's shattering behavior after the subject leaves the containment chamber. See partial debriefing interview below. Is there anything about the appearance of SB-847 that you particularly noticed? You mean other than being a living, breathing mannequin? Well, her nose looks funny, you know. While those nostrils just flare out like that, they're just pits, not covered nicely. Did you say anything regarding SB-847's nose to it? Nothing. She's not someone you can talk to. Doesn't talk back, but doesn't listen either. And then fucking broke her own nose. replacement harvested 10th 20th 1984. At the conclusion of this harvest, female D-class testing with SB847 was prohibited on the order of the ethics committee. Yeah, they probably realized that female D-class get fucking butchered by this thing. So butchered and then transform into mannequins, which is even worse if you think about it. You become an inanimate object against your own will. 4th 21st 1995, SB847 tears out all head hair and extracts liver after experiment J with D13928. See partial debriefing interview below. Why are all these D-class insulting this mannequin? It just wants to be perfect for us, and she is. I mean, at the end, like, I wonder if that's like part of the anomalous effect, though. If you just end up just saying something that you don't like about it, even though there's like nothing to complain about, it's a mannequin. So, did you make any comment about SB847's hair? I know, right? The 80s are over. Wait, it's a guy. The 80s are over. Heck, that was almost 70s. Please answer the question. You got it all on film. No, I didn't say much of anything. I was just hella impressed with an actual living doll. Real fine piece of ass too. I suppose I can't take her drinking though, being plastic and all. And me still locked up, of course. Did he just say he wants to have sex with a mannequin? Well, thank you, D13928. We're done here. You're welcome. You think we can run this experiment again sometime? Fuck off. 10 years later as well. Like, this happened. Okay, this is actually 5 years after this experiment. Interesting. But now 10 years later, hair replaced. So, okay, liver replaced. Oh my god. Oh, because he can't go drinking. That's why he took his liver out. Okay, because it's like it's not. Yeah. Okay. Wow. It really, anything you complain about it, or even if you don't really complain about it, even if you just hint about it, like, oh, I can't take her drinking, she'll be like. So I do wonder what happens if you just compliment it. If you just non-stop be like, I love you, you're perfect, you don't have to do anything to yourself, I love the way you are, you're beautiful. Does it then do something? Third 2005. SB847 tears out all pubic hair during a period of pattern Z behavior. It has that as well. Okay, I would not expect a mannequin to have pubic hair. Research notes of note is that this is the only shadowing event that has not been linked to a pattern Y period. SB847 has not attempted. Oh yeah, it's a pattern C behavior. Like, it's just doing its own thing. So it's just decided to just do that. Okay, weird. 7 years later, and hey, photo of SB847 taken actually 2 days before this, in researcher Jensen's office. Yeah, I mean, look at, okay. So 3 years later, it looks kind of like freshly new, almost. SB847 extracts brain, eye, clavicle, and shatters hands. What? Who? At the end, like, I want to say like, oh, all these D-class are insulting her, and that's why she does this. But also, at the same time, they might just nonchalantly say something, and then she sees it in a negative way and just decides to destroy herself. SB847 has become fully intact under research Tyler Jensen's supervision. On the 9th 22nd 2013, researcher Tyler Jensen was reprimanded, discharged, and stripped of all standing with the foundation due to multiple ethics committee and standard procedure violation that resulted over a period of 2 months in the death of 9 D-class personnel, and ended with Jensen affecting the containment breach of SB847, resulting in additional 2 fatalities. Oh. That's not good. In the interest of reducing SB847's capabilities, a test was authorized with D7294. I'm not sure why this is. Okay, it's going to be an SCP in the future. chosen because he had been convinced of multiple murders of a sexual nature. Shattering event lasted 45 minutes, with SB-847 emitting novel screeching vocalization throughout. Partial debriefing interview follows. I mean, is that just... Oh boy. Let's just read this real quick. D7294, please state your opinion of SB-847. Cute. It knows its place. Please elaborate. The way it squeals and grovels, it knows what it's there for. Pity does a lousy job. In what way? In what way? It doesn't follow orders. Yes, you can pose it, humiliate it, but it doesn't do much more than mew anyway. I had to break off a finger just to see if it mattered. It didn't. You know, it's ironic. You dream your entire life of finding a woman who's that compliant, that devoid of thought, that helpless to your every whim. And when you find her, she's just a useless mannequin who can't do anything. Thank you, D7294. We're done here. Guards, please escort D7294 back to his cell and make sure he doesn't come out of that shit ever again. So here's an interview. We're gonna read that we're gonna read this real fast. Take a deep breath, Stella. Breathe. Whenever you're ready, you may begin. Seekdon watched as his student massively performed her fingers gliding and the bow striking the strings with intensity. Years of practice had paid off, and he felt that she had finally grown into the young, confident player he imagined she would be. It was astonishing the way her posture was perfected, how she struck the strings without a single moment of self-doubt, how deftly she handled sudden transition in tempo. It was as if she was a lifelong master, and the end of the piece, his most prized student looked up at him. So what is this actually? With no screeching vocalization route, partial debriefing interview follows. Interesting. I'm not sure what this wiggle like a fucking eel. I'm not sure. How do I do? She seemed hesitant, shaking a bit and catching her breath. You did absolutely wonderful. You handled like a champion. Zeke smiled and patted her head as Stella quickly regained confidence, beamed up back at him. Thank you so much. Do you think I'm ready to perform for next week, Mr. Dawn? Stella asked, her eyes wide. The door opened as a woman looked in, smiling at the two and waving. They both waved back. You're more than ready. I'd keep practicing. Next week is our last lesson before the competition. Be sure to meet me at your school the next day so I can wish you good luck, okay? Stella nodded as she started to pack up to leave. The woman walked over to them, situating herself near her daughter and waiting. Same amount as usual? She asked. Yep. Though just for you, Mary, I'll let you pay half at 45. Zeke, confidently equipped, a sly smile growing on his face. A few seconds of silence hung between them before Mary handed him a 90. His smile dropped for a bit as he took the money and stuffed in his pockets. Are you still alright with getting dinner tonight? It's not often I'm able to have a free night with you. The look she gave him made his smile drop. Mary moved closer to Zeke, dropping her voice down to a whisper. Not here, Zeke. We had this talk before. At least one date, at least one last date tonight. It would be nice to go out. It would be nice to go out on amicable terms, right? A bit more silence before Mary backed up a bit inside. Sure. Harry and Mason's? Yes, ma'am. But this is it, she exclaimed sternly before heading by the door where Stella had headed. She waved to Zeke, smiling. See you next week, Mr. Don. Stella. See you next week, Mr. Don. Stella yelled as Zeke smiled and waved back. See you next week. Zeke replied as he immediately started to cut off all emotional ties. What? but you had such a good connection. Why would you cut off your emotional ties? The lights flashed on when D7294 entered the testing area. Oh, is Mr. Don and D... Oh, no. He's probably... Yeah, okay. Okay, this is probably the backstory of him then. And he covered his eyes to shield them from most of the brightness. It was a sensation he could never get used to in testing. It was easily the worst part of any of the day. The intercom switched on with that horrendous buzzing noise and to the displeasure. Test 14. Subject D7294. Dated September 23rd, 2013. Excuse me, I'm drinking Monster Energy. Imagine if the scientists actually said that. I apologize for that burp, I'm drinking Monster Energy. Researcher Tyler Jensen and Dr. Tyrone Hardy observing D7294. Please have a seat in the chair directly in front of the mannequin. SB847 and converse with it, and you may also like to interact with it. Do not damage the item. Testing shall last no longer than 20 minutes. Testing begins now. The intercom switched off and D2794 took a good look at the object in the room. The mannequin, it looked decrepit, worn down, horrendous. It had hair on it, clothes, all its body parts, but even just sitting in the chair on the other side of the room, you could tell how pitiful it looked. He hadn't felt a disgusted look at something resembling a woman in a long time. 20 minutes to interact with an ugly mannequin like this would feel like an eternity. So he sat down in the chair and started to observe. It shuddered. 7294 looked taken aback, raising an eyebrow in surprise. Oh? It wasn't the most shocking or grotesque display he saw since being a D-class, but it was repulsive in its own right. As he watched, it made small sudden adjustment to its position and suggestive moaning noises. It looked like a puppet being pulled on its strings. He could only watch in fascination as it kept doing this, as if it was inviting him, wanting him to play. He looked her over, the length of her body, then unmoving as far as he could tell, lips, the part of the body so obliviously meant for him to observe. 10 minutes passed like this and the intercom buzzed. D2794, if you refuse to participate in testing... I'm watching, he interrupted sharply. Carry on then. It was then that the mannequin stood up, gasping and leaning in his direction, and he felt his heart soar. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh no. And this must be him before he became a before he became a criminal, maybe? Harry and Mason's was bustling with activity that summer night as the waiter and waitresses scrambled to serve the tourists eating there, and bothersome went to satiate the rush of patrons grabbing a drink. Mary was staring down at her plate, eating as Zeke looked at her face, attempting to study her and break the ice between them. Aside from placing the order, they had not spoken once since being sat. So, Mary. She didn't respond, though her eyes looked up for a second to glance at him. She made no effort to give her attention. Look, I know you don't want to keep dating me, but don't I at least deserve some more time to teach you a dollar? Sarah is a very lovely student, and with more practice under her belt, she could do more than win boring school competitions. How old is she, Zeke? Well, his response hung in the air. 13. You've been teaching her for 4 years, and you don't even remember how old she is. Well, age isn't important when you're training to become a world-class musician. Mary looked even less amused. For fuck's sake, you don't think anything else of her. I've never been anything to you either except for some object of worth. Though she kept her voice down while arguing, her mannerisms started to draw attention to the two of them. For the first time in years, he felt slightly put off. After a minute of silence, Mary spoke up again. We're moving after her competition, and I'm making sure you don't ever come near us again. More silence passed, and Zeke poked at his food, looking up every once in a while to see if anyone was still paying attention to the both of them. Each second passed by seemed a month's worth. A waiter came by and collected Mary's plate as she finished up her meal. I'll see you next week then. Mary didn't respond. I'll see you next week then? Mary didn't respond as she grabbed her purse and walked outside back to her car. Zeke sighed as he started to eat his food. Now I'm wondering, is Zeke D7294, or is he just a guy experiencing this a different situation with a woman, and D7294 is like, these are two events happening at the same time kind of deal, you know what I mean? Probably not. I think they're the same person, but who knows. The way the mannequin headed over to where 7294 was sitting was erratic, its movements making little sense for what it tried to do. Dragging its plastic leg, shambling over to him, it almost set even him on edge. Repulsion rose up in him, but as it got near him, he wondered. He stood up, leaning over it, trying to see if it could intimidate it. It stopped and froze. You're adorable, aren't you? He muttered, grabbing its arm and moving it around. It made more suggestive noises while 7294 played with it. You know what I want. Know what you want. What were you made for? He let go and walked around behind it, grabbing various body parts to move around and pose. Can you really do anything else besides whimper and moan? Is even that too much for you to do? He ran a hand across its eyes, showing at how real they felt. Real eyes, porcelain skin. Your hands feel like cheaper than everyone's else. You couldn't even attract a male like this, could you, dumb animal? And continued making sounds, this time sounding vaguely fearful. So yeah, so that's why it's like, are you are dumb? Are you, like he says, you are dumb. Is that too much for you to do? Real eyes, porcelain skin, and so on. Like that's why it decided to like break his, take out his brain, eyes, and hands, because those are all things he commented in a very negative. Honestly, yeah, in a negative thing. Even though he said you're adorable, he followed up by an insult. 7294 let go and walk back to its front, feeling its hands and fingers. Beg for me. It continued making the same sound. Make some actual unique sounds this time. Nothing had changed. You can't even serve the one purpose you were made for, can you? Do you feel anything? No response except for the same sounds. What will change? He broke off a finger. Nothing. Useless. He could immediately faintly hear the sounds of guards rushing towards the testing chamber as he let go and backed away, the mannequin erratically jerking towards his position. The intercom buzzed. D7294, you were instructed to not damage the item. Testing is over. The guards opened the door and stated to forcefully drag him out. He didn't resist, continuing to stare at the mannequin until the doors closed. He sighed, feeling slight disappointment mixed with a rush of thrill. 50 meters away from the area, heading towards an interview room, he could hear screaming and the sound of something breaking. He grinned and felt warmth in his head. Suspect's name released in Tallahassee double murder. Tallahassee police have announced that Zeke Dawn was suspected arrest at 7 p.m. last Saturday for killing of Mary Mitchell, 34, and Stella Mitchell, 13. Yeah, it's the same dude. I knew it. Police were called to investigate disturbance at the Tallahassee residence, where they found Dawn, 37, covered in blood as he dug holes outside. Responding officers found Mary and Stella Mitchell bodies in the living room. Officials found parts of 5 to 8 more partly decomposed bodies in the basement, kitchen, and bedroom of Dawn's home. The additional victims have not yet been identified. While preliminary investigation had suggested that the Mitchells were killed by gunshot wounds, and an autopsy found that both died of blunt trauma several hours after being shot, as well as having been mutilated for the extended time after death. Dawn is being held without bail, accused of at least 7 first-degree murders. Prosecutors say he will not be charged until the number of victims can be determined. Officials add the investigation is continuing, and more details will be released in the coming weeks. With that article, local remember the Mitchells. Okay, that's okay. Good. I didn't want to read more. 7. Well, I do, but the stream is already 2 hours long. So, and I still have 2 more left to do. I'm not even done with 847 anyway. So, 7294 laid in its bed at night, absentmindedly thinking of the encounter earlier with the mannequin. It was the first real sense of enjoyment he had gotten in months. Although from how the researchers had talked to him, he had this distinct feeling he wouldn't be returning to see it again. It was fun playing with it while he could, at least. The memory of his fun was burned into his mind to enjoy for nights forwards. He looked up at the ceiling, sighing. He stuck out his thumb and index finger to resemble tweets and started plucking at nothing, humming about Mary's little lamb, her fleece as white as snow. You know what? I like that story though. You know why? It's the first time where we actually get to see a background story of one of the D class. And I always say like that the Foundation, the scientists are like cruel to the D class, but we have to keep in mind the D class are not really top tier wholesome humans. They're people like him who just got into situations that that is like highly uncomfortable. And yes, sometimes the Foundation treat these criminals just as bad as criminals themselves, but it's a mixed bag. It's like, yeah, and also in the same time, I'm pretty sure some of these criminals like are aware what they're doing is fucked up, but they did it anyway. And then there's people like him who have done a crime and will do it again, you know. it's a mixed bag, because like it's very much in the gray area. I'm not saying that the criminals like those should be forgiven. I mean, it all depends. Again, it depends on the criminal itself and on the family. Because some families have managed to forgive the criminals that have done damage to them, because that's what they stand for. They say like, hey, our family forgives, even if it was cruel. And if the criminal actually tries to like redeem themselves, then why, you know, hammer on them the whole time that they done a horrible deed? Yes, again, I'm not saying we as a total should forgive that person. We can still look at them and be like, they have done something horrible, or not at all. It's a very gray area of a topic. So, whew. Okay, and then see message log. Below is a log of messages written by SCP-847 to date. While the Foundation constantly attempts to communicate with SCP-847 have met with failure, SCP-847 does not use words when vocalizing and does not respond to questions asked by personnel, whether spoken or written. I want to like find like I think I want to post on Reddit. So I'll be like, I read the 840s, and doing 847, I want to ask you guys, what would happen if you compliment complimented everything about SCP-847? Do you think it will still find a way to break itself? Do you think it will take one of the compliment and completely twist it to hurt itself at the end? I want to talk about that. Come back, I can do better. Where are you? Where's my prince? I can change. You can own me. You're my master. Don't leave me. Whatever you want. 1979, 2009. So that must be how old this thing is. Too old. I can't be young for you. What's wrong with me? I'm sorry. I'm worthless. Daddy, I'll be good. Yeah, so sorry I'm worthless is like after this whole situation. Wow. So yeah, it's basically an SCP that just tries to impress us dudes. I feel bad for this SCP. It's like the most extreme case of like, I have to be attractive for the opposite sex, or for whatever sex they were attracted to, you know? It's the most extreme, dangerous case where they would literally break themselves or push themselves to such an extent to just be seen as attractive to the other person. Okay, let me just check on my friend. I hope she's not awake yet, because I'm still not done yet. Okay, interdimensional spider web. Now that reminds me of Madam Spider from Spider-Man, who has like is this omnipotent being that just has like a spider web that can see to every dimension and communicate or like view every reality of Spider-Man. Let's see here, Madam Spider. Yeah, there she is. Madam Web, Madam Web, Madam Web. Yeah. The webs are basically like connected to every different reality of Spider-Man. I got introduced to her when I played Shadow Dimension, and I really love her. She's like sassy and she's just fun. She's just fun. I like her. So that's what I think it is. It's just this spider web of where you can look into different dimensions. Maybe. Euclid. And not, the last couple ones were really highly rated. SCP-848 is contained in a 10 meter by 10 meter by 5 meter isolation chamber, which is to contain several non-organic structures that may be used by -1 specimens to construct -2. -1 specimens usually do not need to be fed, but if they are unable to feed for periods lasting greater than 2 weeks or begin to exhibit signs of malnutrition, harmless insects may be introduced to SCP-848's containment as food. SB48's chamber must be cleaned at least once per week and continuously monitored for the appearance of anomalous objects. In the case of hostile organisms, armed response teams may be deployed, and full nuclear, biological, chemical, and BC precautions should be observed by all personnel when retrieving objects from -2. -1 is a colony of Nephila clavipes, golden silk orb weavers, aka banana spiders. Oh, I think I know those. Yeah. Yeah. Look at those. Look at these motherfuckers. They're huge. I remember the TikTok about this. You've probably seen it as well, where like some guy freaks out because he saw them coming out in the forest and at him. Specimens of -1 are approximately 15% larger and significantly stronger and faster than normal specimens of Nephila, but generally no more dangerous than a typical spider of the genus to humans, and do not exhibit any particular hostility to humans in their containment. As Euclid as well, so. -2 is a web created by -1. As with normal N clavipes, -2 can be enormous and oftentimes reaches a diameter of 5 meters or more. That's a big spider web. The silk used in the production of -2 is somewhat stronger than is normal N clavipes, but otherwise appears normal in composition. Periodically, anomalous objects will be discovered and snarled in -2. The frequency of these occurrences varies greatly, but typically occurs from once per week to up to a dozen in one day. Recorded objects found in -2 have included various flying insects, typically to that of -1's natural habitat. To date, over 300 recorded species of flies, moths, and other insects have been logged. Various flying insects that only exist in regions of the world where -1 is not known to populate, including exotic deep rainforest insects. Okay. Also, it just appears in the web. Various kinds of scraps of inanimate objects, including paper and plant detritus. Several species of flying insects not known to modern science. Several unidentified organisms that quickly asphyxiate when exposed to oxygen and may not be terrestrial or in origin. Oh, that's okay. So the webs literally catch, like basically transport anything into it, and it doesn't have to be from our world. They look expunged. Excuse me. Anomalous objects will appear on -2 despite having no plausible explanation for their origin, leading to the belief that -2 is able to catch objects from extraterrestrial or extra-dimensional location. -1 is to be able to feed on most insects found on -2 and does not need to be regularly fed. And then Addendum 1, log of notable recovered objects, date blank blank blank. An unidentified insect appeared on -2. The insect appeared to have 12 legs, as well as an organ that could only be described as a blank blank specimen destroyed as a precaution. Yeah, I mean, you don't want that shit to fucking reproduce on our Earth. Blank blank blank. A flying insect resembling a terrestrial dragonfly with a wingspan of nearly 1 meter. That's pretty big. A wingspan, so like 1 meter here, 1 meter there. Fuck. It's an insect, imagine that. Believed to have become extinct approximately 150 million years ago. Caused significant damage to -2 before being neutralized by -1's venom. -1 later repaired the damage to -2 without incident. That's why it's also stronger than the regular banana spiders, because like it has to deal with things like this all the time. It's like, yeah, no. Just because you have a wingspan of 1 meter doesn't mean I can't kill you. Blank, an unknown non-terrestrial organism which began screeching loudly before quickly expiring from asphyxiation and explosive exsanguination from its eyes. An autopsy performed by Dr. Blank determined that the creature was not capable of breathing oxygen and in fact could not survive in an atmosphere with Earth normal atmospheric pressure. Incident 1 on blank blank blank, a ditto expunge materialized on -2 and immediately breached containment using a blank blank. The ditto expunged before response teams were dispatched and terminated the subject after sustaining multiple casualties. Several specimens of -1 were killed during the incident, but a stable breeding population still remains. SB848 has been redesignated Euclid class and revised containment procedures are pending review. Yeah, because like the spiders themselves and the web themselves are not gonna do anything. Like, you can consider them safe, but what they bring, what they spawn, basically, can be dangerous to us. Okay. Last one. A perfect day. I assume it is something that causes... okay, here's what I think. Because it's an SCP, it will give you one day that's literally everything goes perfectly well, but then you either die, your memory gets lost, or every day afterwards is absolute shit. So you get that one perfect day, but then afterwards everything goes downhill for you. She's still not awake, which is great, but also worrisome, honestly, now that I think about it. So let's finish this. Please be short. Thank you. It's back to being below the hundreds, and it's a save. SB-849 is currently contained in storage unit blank, located at site blank. SB-849 is to be kept in a sealed chamber measuring 5 times 5 meters, which is to be guarded by 2 security personnel at all times. SB-849 is to be checked for leaks every 3 days. Any unauthorized personnel attempting to enter SB-849 are to be detained by security and given scheduled visits with site psychologist blank blank. Use of SB-849 must be authorized by 1 member of level 4 personnel. Description: SB-849 is a sensory deprivation chamber first recovered by the Foundation from a health spa in blank blank blank. SB-849 measures 3 times 4 meters, is white in color, and is filled with an opaque gray liquid. When touched by a human, hereafter referred as a subject, this liquid instantly transports them and any items which are physically attached to them to a location designated -1. -1 takes the form of the subject's hometown or location the subject considers to be their home. This location is populated by civilian entities presumably produced by -1, which take the form of individuals the subject is familiar with, even if said individuals do not reside in the location being imitated. So, like, for example, all my friends across everywhere the world would be there, even though it doesn't make sense they would be there. Like from Australia, from the United States, from Holland, Norway, from the Philippines, and so on and so forth. They'll all just show up there, even though, again, it doesn't make sense why they would be there. Time passes normally in this location, which has been confirmed by researchers measuring the time the subjects have disappeared for. For the first 17 hours of being within -1, the subject will experience an ordinary day, with the exception that every situation the subject finds himself in will be resolved positively through apparent luck. The subject will typically make amends with civilian entities imitating individuals whom the subject has wronged or been wronged by during this period of time. After 17 hours have passed in -1, the quality of the imitation will begin to rapidly degrade. Effects of this process include, but are not limited to, bizarre and nonsensical situations, illogical changes in civilian entities' appearance and biology, impossible geometry. During the last 15 minutes of residing in -1, subjects have reported the breakdown of physical laws such as gravity, often causing stress and anxiety. After 24 hours have passed, all subjects will be forcibly ejected from -1. Interesting, but it doesn't really seem to do anything else. It's just like it gives you 17 hours of just everything's good, and then suddenly apocalypse. That's okay, but I mean, doesn't seem to like harm the subject. It doesn't sound like they can just, you know, not hop back in. So, all right, yeah, that was it. Here's my rating. So the mannequin, gotta say, just like every time they have like a good added story, that's when I'm like think they're like higher up in the entertainment section. once they add like a side story that's like really solid, that's when I get like really sucked into that SCP, and I'm like, oh damn, this is good. But in general, like the concept of the mannequin is also really interesting. It's a female mannequin that's trying to impress males, especially specifically straight or heterosexual males, you know. And every time you insult anything about it, it shares whatever part you didn't like. Now again, I also wonder if that's an anomalous effect, because apparently from the way it walks or the way it sounds, it can be a bit how to put this, a bit off-putting. So I wonder if that's like part of the effect, or if that's just the people, because they're all criminals. If that's just the people how they are. Crybaby, fucking terrifying concept, but very good horror movie concept. Like the fact that it doesn't even try to intimidate or like to imitate. Excuse me. It doesn't even try to imitate a crying sound. It literally uses a child to make it cry. That's kind of fucked, but it's definitely a new spin on that. The whole like using. I mean, there's so many different versions. Like there's the Predator one from the 2015. No, hold on. I think it was the 2010. Yeah, the 2010 one has a scene like that where... Is it 2010 one? Yeah, it is a 2010 one. Or it might be the 2018 one. It could be either one or... But no, it's the 2010 one, that's for sure. There's a scene where one of the soldiers is in the middle of the grass field, and you can hear him like go like, "Help me! Help me!" And then someone is about to like go on the grass field, and tries to help them, but then the other guy says, "It's like, hey, stop! Like, it's a trap, because he's not moving." And so there was something else that indicated that they were clearly dead. And then we found out that the Predator somehow found a way to make your vocals still go on even though you're dead. So that's like one way to lure people. And then there's like from Made in Abyss, the corpse. What's it called? Corpse. My God, there's so many things to look up right now. Made in Abyss, Corpse Reaper. That's what it was. Corpse Reaper, who, while they eat the victim, they gain the vocal sounds of the victim and then use that to cry for help. So they sound like they're in danger, which then lures in more humans and fellow corpse reapers ready to attack the humans who then come to see what's up. And of course Wendigos and other stuff like that imitate the sounds of humans in distress. So that is like a new way of doing it. Interdimensional spiderweb. I just really love the idea that it not only does it bring animals from like different realities, but also from the past and the future probably as well. So it's a really cool concept, and it reminds me of Madam Web. And I love Spider-Man. Spider-Man's my favorite Marvel hero, so anything Spider-Man related gets a big plus for me. Like a polecat, I think it's adorable. I can see why. Again, I can see why it's Euclid, because you never know if you accidentally are drinking a polecat. But I saw so many videos of polecats, and I think they're really adorable. So the fact that it can become water or liquid, it's pretty cool. Reverse mirror voodoo doll stick puppet. I will be honest, the fact that some guys tried to sell it and after 11 years it couldn't get sold off, and the foundation just fucking took it, and he's like, what? That put it really high up for me. I just love that. I love that he created something this fucked up. Well, it's not really fucked up, but it's like, it's dangerous, right? It's dangerous for the regular human beings. and he tried to sell it all this time, and then the foundation just ruins his day. That's just hilarious. Robo-Dude, I mean, don't intimidate the Robo-Dude. Doctor. Cow seeds. I just love the idea of like a field of plant cows. Just like a whole field of them. And some poor dude or poor girl just walks upon that field, and all these cows just like, oh, you think you can just walk around here? Stampede. The entirety of Lion King, but with fucking cows that are made out of plants. A perfect day. I think, you know, like, again, the consequences don't seem very big. It is literally gives you the perfect day, and then the last 7 hours are apocalypse, and then you get ejected. So, unless like, I guess like there must be like some bit of trauma, because it did say like a lot of things don't make sense anymore, like geometry and biology and all that stuff. So I assume some of the people must look very horrifying to look at. But other than that, if you can get past that, which I'm not sure if you can, because people that you know, it's people that you know transforming in front of you into like monstrosities. But if you understand that's just the imagery and not happening in real life, I feel like you can easily survive this one. You just jump in, enjoy 17 hours of just perfectness, and then 7 hours of pure horror. It's even like fair, it's balanced out. 17 hours of nice and 7 hours of bad. So it's you know, it's balanced. Drain feeder, yeah, I mean, it is what I expected it to be. But it also, I still can't get over the fact that somebody just decided like, yo, let me just flush plastic down the toilet. And this thing is just like, just choking on it. Just barfing and spitting that shit out again because it's just like, hey. Oh my god. I think that's just hilarious to me. Like, it's just, yeah. Operations table. That one, it took me a while to understand, but it is definitely an interesting concept. Like a human being just transforms into the location, but they don't really die. But eventually they do. Eventually they do, and then you can take them off. So, but it is an interesting concept. Yeah. So guys, I hope you all enjoyed the stream. Tomorrow we're gonna read the 850s, which means we're gonna reach past the halfway point of the 800s, which is really exciting. So far the 800s were really solid. I will say that there were really solid ones in here. And something tells me like with the again, I don't know how it works with release, because I know that 173 or 173 was one of the first ones of the SCPs that came out. So I'm not sure if like I don't think that it came out in order of the numbers, right? I think it's just random like number system, like 800 and 847 could have been like the second SCP that came out, and then like I don't know, 112 could have been like the third. But it does feel like the 800s seems to be a bit more solid compared to the, I mean, there's still like excellent ones in the 700s, 600s, 500s, and so on and so forth, but I don't know, something about the 800s like hit different. So yeah, I hope you all enjoyed today's stream. I see you tomorrow for the 850s, and you all now I hope you all have a beautiful good morning, afternoon, evening, wherever you are, and remember guys, the Afro is with you. See you tomorrow.